When it comes to superpowers, not all heroes have a clear-cut kind of process when using their abilities. Now, over the years in the comics, we've seen on multiple occasions times when heroes are put into a position where their personal restrictions have made life difficult for them. By restrictions, we're talking limitations to their powers organically, but also self-induced prohibitions. And sometimes those restrictions can be a little odd when you think about them. So today we're diving into that territory and counting down the top 10 superheroes with weird power restrictions. And at number 10, SPECTRE. Let's start off our list with this DC character, SPECTRE. SPECTRE first appeared in More Fun Comics issue 52 back in the Golden Age in 1940, and even was a member of the first ever superhero team, the Justice Society of America, in All-Star Comics. He's crazy strong, said to have the abilities of a god, which includes the capability to manipulate time, space, and matter. He's invulnerable as well to physical damage, but for all the good he can do, he's severely limited by several factors. For starters, he needs a human host. He's pretty vulnerable to magic. The voice, the source of his abilities, can put limitations on what he's able to do, like the whole only binding to human hosts thing. There's divine law that he must follow, punishable by the voice, who is also known as the Presence, an entity that's essentially a form of god. So, all in all, he's got quite a few limitations. For all that power, it's kinda rough. And at number 9, ZEITGEIST. ZEITGEIST, aka Alex Clooney, was a mutant who did not last long. He first appeared in X-Force issue 116 in 2001 and died that same issue. He was the team leader of the X-Force iteration that was created as a celebrity superhero team. You can see why that took such a terrible turn. Plus, he was kind of a dick. It was later revealed that he was actually in on the plot that eventually killed him, the massacre of a boy band called Boys R Us gone wrong. So what are Alex's superpowers? Well, he has acidic vomit. Yup, meaning he can only attack others when having a tactile chunder. His suit was also specially designed so that it wouldn't cause him harm, with him wearing a protective mouthpiece. While he was quick to bite the dust for other reasons, being able to only attack others with your vomit ooze isn't overly ideal as a power, now is it? He also got dead in a pretty brutal way, so there's that. Up next, number 8, SHAZAM. There's no doubt that SHAZAM has a ridiculous amount of power. Dude has rivaled Superman before. He's got a lot to offer. But there is one fun little restriction that keeps him at bay. The fact that in order to summon all of his powers, he needs to say the word SHAZAM. Otherwise, he's just Billy Batson, a regular old boy. This can sometimes prove to have dire consequences, as seen in the Forever Evil story event back in 2013 and onwards. Alexander Luthor on Earth 3 was the SHAZAM of that Earth, known as Mazaz. An alternate Earth Lex Luthor was able to use his voice, which matched up with Alexander's, to cause him to transform out of his Shazam-esque state, leaving him incredibly vulnerable. And at number 7, ZATANNA. ZATANNA is a case of a superhero held back by her own devices. Now, her powers are limited by her self-confidence, with her full range of powers still a tad ambiguous, although she is considered to be one of the most powerful sorceresses in the DC universe. Now, there was a time when she was practically depowered because of her own self-esteem being at an all-time low during the Seven Soldiers story arc. Her powers are believed to be tied to her self-confidence, with her needing to be in a strong emotional and psychological state in order to fully use them. In addition to that, while ZATANNA's powers increase if not used, if she's overused them, it actually drains her significantly, to the point where her physical well-being is put in danger. And at number 6, Dr. Fate. While ZATANNA may be limited by her self-confidence, Dr. Fate, on the other hand, is limited by his willpower. Because of the wide range of abilities and immense power that Dr. Fate is capable of, often his biggest restriction is the will of his host, with several different characters having taken up the mantle over the years in the comics. If the body of his host, which acts as a conduit or a focal point of power for Fate, disagrees with Nabu, the source of his power, the host can be limiting of what Fate can do. But it's not just willpower that has restricted Dr. Fate in the past. Kent Nelson, the Dr. Fate of New Earth, was very reliant on his Helmet of Fate for his powers. While over time Nelson was able to develop his own magical abilities, specifically immortality, invulnerability, flight, and telekinesis, the larger range of abilities came from his helmet. These included astral projection, clairvoyance, dimensional travel, divination, eldritch blasts, energy construction creation, healing, invisibility, magnetic manipulation, molecular reconstruction, necromancy, resurrection, telepathy, and divine empowerment. He also doesn't have any emotions when wearing the helmet. In addition to that, after intense conflict or casting extremely powerful spells, his energy and power is temporarily depleted, with him needing to restore his mystical energy. He's also vulnerable to gas attacks, so that's a thing. And at number 5, DEADMAN. First appearing in DC's Strange Adventures 205 back in 1967, DEADMAN is a disembodied spirit who is capable of possessing any living being and controlling their actions. But his power is his crux. looks. When not possessing someone, he cannot be seen or heard by anyone, with the exception of a few mystics. He also has a few limitations when it comes to who he can possess. Those with incredibly powerful minds, the likes of Batman, can withstand him. Deadman is only capable of possessing them for a very short time before that person's mind kicks him out. He also can't possess those undergoing post-hypnotic suggestion, since their minds are not truly theirs during an event like that. And at number 4, KRAKOA. There are 2 KRAKOAs in the Marvel Universe, one of which was spawned from the initial version. Now the first, described as the island that walks like a man, appeared in Giant Size X-Men issue 1 in 1975. It initially started off as a small island in the Pacific Ocean that was affected by radiation from nearby nuclear bombing test sites. The island's ecosystem was turned into a hive mind entity, and of course crossed paths with the X-Men. So how is this character limited by its powers? Well, it is limited to itself, being an island. That being said, it can still do some pretty impressive stuff, using the life forms it's comprised of, acting as a hive mind in which it can create semi-humanoids and animals with varying levels of strength. It also feeds off of mutant energy, which can render some mutants powerless as long as they remain on its island. Now, over the years, it's been dumbed down a little bit, restricted to its intelligence being a survival instinct rather than a psionic power that, at times, actually once rivaled Professor X. Tough luck. And at number 3, Maggot. Maggot is often considered one of Marvel's strangest heroes. Debuting back in 1997 in Uncanny X-Men issue 345, Maggot is a mutant whose digestive system is made up of 2 slugs who can eat through any substance. These semi-sentient slugs exit his body, consume food, then return to Maggot's abdomen and pass nourishment to him, which can give him supercharged powers the likes of strength, stamina, and even increase his physical size, all depending on what they eat. But his powers are restricted to what the slugs, who are named Eenie and Meenie, can consume. Of course they have names. He is entirely reliant on them. And at number 2, GENIE. GENIE is a character who often finds herself on most offensive or controversial superhero lists online. That's because she's a character whose whole premise is being an alcoholic. GENIE, who first appeared in X-Force issue 116, and just like her team leader, she died in that very same issue as well. As a member of the reality TV mutant group X-Force, she died on a mission while rescuing that boy band Boys R Us. But it's not her brief lifespan that's overly controversial. It's the fact that her powers are only generated by drinking alcohol. She can create seismic vibrations proportionate to the amount of alcohol she's consumed. Yeah, so kinda bad. Because she's drunk while using her powers, her seismic waves often would be aimed at her own teammates. I mean, usually accidentally. And finally, in at number 1, Danny the Street. Danny the Street is perhaps the most prohibited hero of them all. He's restricted to being a literal street. That's his whole shtick. Danny the Street first appeared in 1990 in issue 35 of Doom Patrol, created by Grant Morrison and Richard Case. His name is a pun of the Irish-British entertainer Danny LaRue's name, with LaRue being French for the word street. Anywho, Danny is a living sentient piece of urban geography, who can place himself anywhere within an urban landscape, interacting with others by using forms of visual printing that he can generate at will. In other words, he can teleport, and wherever he teleports isn't disturbed by his presence. He's a cross-dresser, something he gets from his namesake, and is often portrayed as having extremely camp mannerisms. So yeah, he's pretty limited despite also being capable of molecular reconstruction, having once become a world, although in that case he was later reduced to a brick. He would also go on to join Doom Patrol, and even became the location of their headquarters at one point. Funny enough, if you've seen the recent Titans series, the Doom Patrol mansion is actually located on Danny Street. Easter eggs! Alright, there we have it, friends. There's a ton of other heroes that we did not include on this list, so if you'd like us to do a part 2, give us a shout in those comments below. And while you're at it, give this video a big ol' like. If you're curious about the other kinds of lists we put out, be sure to subscribe and become a part of the Nerd Squad. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.